wild, chaotic search for the latest Boston bombing suspect ended in Watertown. That's just outside of Boston. Watertown Police Chief, the entire police department played a huge role in the manhunt. With us now is the Watertown Police Chief, Edward DeVoe. Thanks very much, Chief, for coming in.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
How many years have you been a cop?
I've been on the job 30 years.
You've never experienced anything like this before?
Absolutely not.
When did you realize that this was going down, that you had the second suspect?
It was late in the day. We had a report that we got from our citizens. We asked them to keep vigilant, and we got the call, and it sounded like really good information.
That person called and said, there's a guy in this boat in my backyard.
That's right.
And there looks like there's blood there. So what did you pick up the story?
Right. And I do want to talk about what happened the night before.
I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, but pick up the story.
So at that point we had a couple of thousand police officers on scene. The turnout was just incredible. The support that we got from the state and from the region. So we had the tactical people to be able to close that scene down and secure it. And we did take our time to make sure that everybody was safe in the neighborhood. And eventually we had to use some flashbangs to render the subject a little dazed.
What a flashbang is.
It's just a loud compression that would stun somebody for a short period of time. And then we began negotiations, and slowly, over a 15-20 minute period, we were able to get him to stand up and show us that he didn't have a device on him.
So he's lying in this boat. He's been there for several hours. He's wounded, clearly, right? He's bleeding.
Right.
He's obviously weak. You come over there, and what do you say to him? You have a bullhorn, you start saying, come up with your hands up?
Well, we have a negotiator who was actually on the second floor of the house looking down at the boat in the backyard.
You could see him.
But we couldn't see it. There was a plastic top over them. But we had the state police helicopter that could tell us when there was movement in the boat by the heat sensor. So we could tell he was alive and moving, and we began the negotiations that way. And over a long period of time, we were able to finally get him to surrender without anybody hurt or injured.
He didn't use any fire, and of course, while he was in the boat.
Well, once we got the place surrounded, there was early gunfire when we first got in the area. He exchanged gunfire with some of the officers, and then we secured the scene, and then there was no more gunfire after that.
What kind of weapon did he have?
We're not sure. We have that crime scene is still live down there. The the FBI crime scene search is there now. We haven't got into that boat. We don't know what's in that boat. There could be devices.
But the FBI's in charge of that.
The scene down there today, yes.
Did he have an explosive vest on his body like his older brother did the night before?
Well, that was our major concern, and that's why no one wanted to go near him until we were able to get him to understand that we needed him to lift his chest up, lift his shirt up so we could see his chest, where we felt comfortable to send some people in to take him into custody.
Did he do that?
Yeah, eventually, over a long period of time, 20 to 30 minutes, we finally got him to do that.
So he had no explosives with him in the boat, as far as you know?
On his person. We haven't got into that boat. It's a decent-sized boat, so we don't know what else is in there.
Who did the negotiations? Who did the talking with him?
That would have been the FBI task force.
And he raised up his shirt. He showed he wasn't wearing an explosive device. And then what happened?
Well, we took it at that point. Once we saw them, we felt comfortable enough to send some officers and tactical equipment to go in here and grab him and pull him away from the boat, so he wouldn't be able to have anything else. And then he needed first aid, and so he was transported by ambulance into a Boston hospital.
And what was the nature of his injuries? And I believe the injuries were sustained the night before the exchange that you had with him and his older brother.
Right. We knew he was, there was...
Hold on one second. There's a lot of activity moving behind us. We're used to this by now, but I just want to make sure our viewers can hear you.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. The exchange the night before, walk us through that.
Okay, it's a very hectic night where there was so much heroics in a lot of different police departments, but I just want to give credit to the men of the Watertown Police Department. What had happened was there was an assassination of an MIT police officer.
And you believe by these two brothers?
Yes.
Why did they want to kill this police officer?
That's still under investigation. He was responding to just a loud disturbance call, and next you know, that happens.
Was it on the campus of MIT or at this convenience store?
I believe it was on campus. And then they fled. They did a carjacking, and somehow, for some reason, they ended up coming to Watertown. And that's where our office engaged the two of them.
And what happened? So pick up the story.
Yeah,
then.
it's a.
So they're in a hijacked car. They had hijacked the car. They took the driver, and then they let the driver go after the driver supposedly went to an ATM, gave him some money. Is that right?
Right. There was some money withdrawn from his ATM, and so what happened in Watertown, one of our first police officers, we are getting information based on pinging the cell phone that he's in Watertown, so we kind of know what streets he's on.
Wait a second. So Tsarnaev was using his own personal.
No, this is the victim's cell phone that remained in the Mercedes.
In other words, so they let the victim go. They had bragged to the victim that they were the bombers of the marathon. Is that right?
That's right. I understand that. They said we did the Boston Marathon bombing and we killed a police officer.
Did they explain why they let the driver go, the man they had hijacked?
No, I mean, I don't.
Thank God they did.
Right. Lucky for him, and lucky for us that his cell phone remained in that vehicle, so we were able to get updates. So now it's about 12:30 in the morning. Down a residential street in Watertown. Everybody's sleeping, a sleepy neighborhood, and our officer sees two vehicles. The two brothers are in two different cars, including the car that was hijacked. He calls, notifies our station. We do all the proper procedure. Do not engage the car. Let's get you some more backup. And before they could even get there, the two cars stop. They jump out of the car and unload on our police officer.
When you say unload, what is that?
They both came out shooting.
Shooting what?
Shooting guns, handguns, and there was a long arm in the car, so we're not exactly sure. We're still piecing that together. But he's under direct fire, very close by. He has to jam it in reverse and try to get himself a little distance.
The younger brother?
Yeah, no, my police officer.
Oh, yeah.
So the two brothers are shooting at my first police officer that's responded, and now within seconds I have 2 or 3 other police officers that pull up. We had just finished shift, so 2 off-duty officers that were on their way home heard the call. So I have 6 police officers in this very tight area engaged in gunfight. We estimate there was over 200 shots fired over a 5 to 10 minute period.
So these two brothers, they had a lot of weapons. So
yes,
they were well armed.
Right.
And they had pipe bombs too?
Well, they had pipe bombs and explosive. During the exchange, all of a sudden something got thrown at my police officers, and we now find out it's exact bomb that blew up at the marathon on Monday.
What do you mean, like in a pressure cooker?
Yeah, it was a pressure cooker. We find the pressure cooker embedded in a car down the street. So there's a major explosion during this gunfight of my officers, 6 of my officers that I'm extremely proud of, that heroic. I mean, how I'm not, my heart is out to the MIT officer and his family, but how the Watertown police aren't attending a funeral of our own based on what happened on that street over that period of time is just talent, guts, and glory.
And there was some luck, too, that nobody was killed, none of your officers.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there was that major explosive. There was 2 other grenades that came in at our offices.
Were they hand grenades they were throwing?
They were lighting something and then throwing them, and they were exploding. So we kind of call them hand grenades, but they're very rough devices. 2 other ones didn't explode. Officers, they were nearby, we could explode at any other time. And now, so that's what my officers are done. At the same time, the whole greater Boston area is rushing to Watertown. They're on the radio saying Watertown is in deep trouble, shots fired.
This is shortly after midnight.
Yes, and so everybody's coming, and they were able to come to us, but the gunfight was over by the time people got, except for a couple of police officers from the transit.
All right, so walk us through what happens. The older brother, he's wounded, right? He's thrown out of the car, and there are reports that the younger brother drove away and drove over his brother. Is that right?
Well, eventually, yes, that's exactly what happened. What happened was we're at some point the first brother who died at the scene, he all of a sudden comes out from undercover and just starts walking down the street shooting at our police officers, trying to get closer. Now, my closest police officer is 5 to 10 feet away, and they're exchanging gunfire between them. And he runs out of ammunition, the bad guy. And so one of my police officers comes off the side and tackles him in the street. We're trying to get him handcuffed. There's 2 or 3 police officers handcuffing him in the street.
The older brother.
The older brother. At the same time, at the last minute, they obviously have tunnel vision. There's a very